Hey beautiful people, it's your girl Val and we are back with another video. And if you're new here, this is a faith-based channel where I do motivational talks and talk about faith as well. And in today's video, we're going to talk about 10 signs that you may be under a curse. Okay, so if you're interested in this topic, definitely stick around and don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. Okay, so sign number one that you may be dealing with the curse is the spirit of backwardness. Okay, you feel like you could never move forward in your life. You feel like no matter what you do, you could never progress. You constantly catch yourself in a cycle of going backwards in your life. Okay, that job that you left 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you catch yourself going back to that job, right? You hated that job. You left that job for a reason. God took you out of that job, and now years later you catch yourself working at that job again, right? You're going backwards. Or that relationship that you left years ago, you catch yourself going back to that very same person that was unhealthy for you. You catch yourself constantly going back to old relationships. You catch yourself going back to that unhealthy relationship, and you know you shouldn't be in that relationship, right? It's unhealthy. You feel like you could never get away from this person. No matter what you try to do, you try to get away from this person, you try to move on, but you constantly catch yourself going backwards. Okay, and God is not a God that's gonna make you go backwards to something that doesn't serve you any purpose. He's not gonna make you go backwards to something that's unhealthy for you or something that's gonna cause you to sin. Okay, He's gonna want you to move forward. So if you're dealing with backwardness in your life, there's a possibility that you're probably dealing with a curse. Okay, so sign number two that you're probably dealing with a curse is that out of nowhere you have no interest to walk with Christ anymore. Okay, you used to be on fire for the Lord. You used to have a prayer life. You used to fast. You used to read your Bible. And now all of a sudden you don't have any interest to do that. Okay, and I'm not talking about, days where we feel like we don't want to pray. I'm talking about to the point where it's severe, right? To the point where you feel like you don't want to walk with Christ anymore. You just want to go back in the world and do worldly things. You used to be in love with God. You used to spread the word. You used to tell other people about God and about the Bible. And now all of a sudden you're the complete opposite, right? You're talking about how much you hate the Bible. You're blaspheming the Lord. You're talking negatively about God, right? That may be a sign that you're probably dealing with a curse and you don't even know it. Okay, so sign number three that you're probably dealing with a curse is constant divorce within your family. If you take a look at your family members and you see that divorce is prevalent in your family, there's a possibility that that's a generational curse. Okay, it could be your aunt, your uncle, your cousins, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. You just see this pattern of divorce in your family, including yourself, right? You're constantly jumping from marriage to marriage. You get married and divorced, you get remarried, you get divorced, and then the cycle just keeps repeating itself. And it seems like you just can't keep a husband or a wife. Okay, that's a generational curse. You can take a look at your family, right? For example, you constantly see, people in your family, they get married and then 2-3 years later, they're divorced. They get married again and then a couple of years later, they're divorced. There's a generational curse that needs to be broken, okay? So Mark chapter 10 verse 9 says, "What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder." So when God puts two people together and he forms this union, no man should be able to separate that marriage, okay? That marriage should not end in divorce. We know the devil hates marriage, okay? He hates marriage. That's why he's always attacking marriages first. That's why he's always coming for marriages, okay? Because he wants separation. He wants people to be miserable. Okay, so sign number four that you may be dealing with the curse is that you can't get ahead in life. You constantly feel stuck in your life, okay? You feel like you've done everything right. You've got all the degrees. You have the credentials. You have the qualifications. You're intelligent, you're smart, and it seems like nothing can go right for you. You probably have more experience or qualifications that they're asking for, but for some reason, these doors are not opening for you. And you feel frustrated. You feel like, what am I doing wrong? I've done this, I've gone to school, I have the work experience, I have the degrees, I have these certifications. What am I doing wrong? Why aren't doors opening for me? The spirit that doesn't want you to move forward, similar to the spirit of backwardness. You feel stuck. You feel like you're constantly living in a revolving door and your life is just going around in circles. Okay, so that's a possibility that you're probably under a curse that needs to be broken, right? And you need a breakthrough. Okay, sign number 5 that you're probably dealing with a curse is random sickness and constant sickness. Okay, if you're somebody who's not even used to getting sick often and you're randomly getting sick, you go to the doctor and they run all these tests on you, your blood pressure is fine, your sugar levels are fine, everything looks perfectly fine, right? The doctor tells you, you look good, there's nothing wrong with you, you're healthy, you're 100% fine, and you're looking at the doctor like, okay, what do you mean I'm fine? Like, I know I feel these pains. I know something must be wrong with me. What is going on? What do you mean I'm fine? Well, that's because doctors can't detect things that are happening in the spiritual realm, okay? If the doctor tells you everything is fine, they run all the tests on you, and everything comes back perfectly fine, and you know that you're feeling sick and you don't feel well, and you're having all these pains and nobody can explain what's wrong with you, there's a possibility that that's a curse that was put on you, okay? Doctors are not going to be able to detect things that are happening in the spiritual realm, okay? So you have to go to God, ask him to heal you from all the pains, the sickness, the illnesses that you are dealing with, and he can heal you, okay? Sign number 6 that you're probably dealing with the curse is that things always go wrong in your life. And I know a lot of people can relate to this, okay? You feel like things could never go right no matter what you do. No matter what you try to do, things always go wrong. You try to open that business, something goes wrong. You try to save money, then all of a sudden there's an emergency and now you can't save. You got to spend that money on something else. You're constantly getting in car accidents. Every time you get a brand new car, you crash that car and now you have to get another one. Now you have to save for another car. You get a new job, you lose that job, and you have to get another one, and you lose that one. It could be a cycle of things just going wrong in your life. It seems like nothing could ever go right for you. That could be a sign that you're under a curse, okay? That curse, whatever that spirit is, it doesn't want you to progress. It doesn't want you to move forward. It doesn't want you to have blessings. It wants to keep you at the bottom, okay? It wants to keep you in stress. It wants to keep you in distress, okay? It wants to keep you angry. It wants to keep you sad. It wants to keep you frustrated, okay? These spirits do not want you to progress, okay? So you have to go to God. You have to break that cycle, okay? So sign number 7 that you're probably dealing with the curse is forgetfulness and brain fog, okay? And I know some of us, we may misplace things. We may, forget things here and there. But when it's severe to the point where you feel like it's a problem, that's probably a sign that you're under a curse, okay? And sometimes it happens with dreams, right? The enemy will steal your dreams from you. He will make you forget your dreams. You'll have a dream and you wake up and you can't remember anything. You knew you had a dream. You knew something was meaningful in that dream. But no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try to remember that dream, it seems like it just completely got erased, right? You don't even know what happened. All the short-term memory, all the things that you had stored in your short-term memory and your long-term memory seems like it's been erased, right? You feel like you can't remember things that you used to remember when you was a little kid, or things that happened maybe like last month. You feel like you used to remember those things, but now all of a sudden it's just gone. And again, I'm not talking about when you misplace your keys every now and then on your phone. I'm talking about when it's really severe, where it's like affecting your life, your everyday life. You have to go to work tomorrow. You have to be at work by 9 a.m. You wake up the next day, you completely forgot that you had to be at work. And it's a constant pattern of forgetfulness. You knew you had to be at this meeting at a certain time. You knew you had to be at work at a certain time, right? You knew you had to pick up your kids at school at a certain time. You completely forget that you had to do these things. Okay, so that could be a sign that you're probably dealing with the curse. So sign number 8 that you're dealing with the curse is the spirit of homosexuality. You can look to see if this is a pattern within the different generations in your family. Okay, and I just want to read a verse really quick. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. Okay, so the Bible is clear that men committed unlawful acts with other men, and they're gonna have to pay for that penalty. The same goes for women, okay? It's the same thing for women. So if you see that homosexuality is being passed down from generation to generation in your family, you're dealing with a generational curse, okay? And I want to read one more verse. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 22, it says, "Do not have sexual relations with a man as one does with a woman. That is detestable." The Lord is very clear on how he feels about same-sex relations. Okay, some people say the Bible doesn't talk about it. It's very clear. Okay, all you have to do is just look it up. So if you're in that lifestyle and you have other family members in that lifestyle, most likely it's a generational curse within your family. Okay, sign number 9 that you're probably dealing with the curse is mental disorders. I always like to say to look at your family, because you could be dealing with a generational curse. It could be something that was passed down from your mom. It could be something that was passed down from your dad. We don't know what our ancestors did in the past. We don't know everything that our parents did in the past. We don't know if our parents dibbled and dabbled in witchcraft, right? Some of those things we don't know, okay? We don't 100% know everything that every family member has done in the past. Pay attention, pay close attention to some of the things that your family say, how they act, some of the things that they do. So that's why I like to say, check your family, check your bloodline, check their history, okay? If you really think about multiple personalities and you really sit there and think about it, it's demonic, okay? You shouldn't be able to be one way 1 minute and then 5 minutes later you're a complete different person with a different name. 10 minutes later you have another personality coming out of you with a different name. Okay, those are just demons that's inside of you, and those demons have a name. Okay, it's no different when you hear these celebrities call these personalities alter egos. These demons allow them to perform better. These demons take over their body when they're on stage. Okay, they're not alter egos as the world calls it. These are demons that you're dealing with. Okay, so like I said, you want to take a look at your family. You want to see if this is something that's generational, and it may not always be generational. It could be something that you're the only one in your family that's dealing with it. If you're dealing with mental disorders and you're constantly in and out of psych wards, you're having suicidal thoughts, you don't want to be on this earth anymore, you're having these intrusive thoughts, you're on multiple medication, you need all this medication just to feel normal or just to feel calm, that's probably a sign that you're dealing with the curse. Okay, so lastly, sign number 10 that you're probably dealing with the curse is the spirit of fear. Okay, God did not give us the spirit of fear. In 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, it says, "For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." Okay, so if you're constantly feeling like you're living in fear, everything makes you fearful, you're constantly afraid, you're afraid to go out in public, you're afraid to go to the grocery store, you're afraid to be in big crowds. Sometimes you feel like you're a prisoner in your own body, right? And your mind is like your worst enemy, okay? You feel like this fear is literally taking control over my life, okay? You feel like you are never going to be able to overcome whatever the fears that you're dealing with. Okay, if you constantly feel like you're afraid, you're living in fear, you want to do something, you want to start that business, you want to move out the city, you would want to be able to leave your house, you would want to be able to go to the grocery store, you want to overcome those fears, but you're imprisoned to those fears to the point where you feel like you're never going to overcome them. And all fear is going to do is set you back. Okay, you're not going to be able to move forward. You're not going to know what blessings God can give you or what blessing he has for you. And a lot of people live in fear to the point where it literally cripples them. Okay, some people live in fear so much they never explore, they never travel, they never try new things. They're constantly living in this box because they're afraid to step out of that box. They're afraid to take risks. They're afraid to step out on faith. They're afraid to just take chances, right? Even if you fail. But if you're constantly living in fear, you might miss out on certain blessings that God has for you. So if you don't try to challenge that fear and let that fear know that you do not have control over my life. You will not control my destiny. You will not control where God wants me to go in the future, okay? That's what the enemy wants. That's what the devil wants. He wants you to live in fear. He wants you to be fearful because he knows that God has a calling for your life. He knows that God has a plan for your life. He knows that there's a purpose on your life, right? So he's going to make you live in fear, so that way you're not able to fulfill whatever purpose that it is that God has for you. And I want to leave you with this scripture in Psalms chapter 56 verse 11. It says, "In God have I put my trust. I will not be afraid what man can do unto me." Okay, God does not want us to be afraid. He's not a God that's going to make you walk in fear for the rest of your life. He's not a God that's going to make you fearful of doing things that is not of him. That's not his nature, to make you walk in fear for the rest of your life. So that's a possibility that you're probably dealing with a curse. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.